Don't you get the feeling that someone's watching us? This is not clickbait in any way, shape or form. Hi. This is my first video on my new camera and oh my god, my life, like, are you seeing this quality? So yeah, I'm pretty excited and I was saving this story for when I got like a good camera so everything would be like super HD and like, you know, like... Why do the planes only fly over my house when I'm about to start a video? Like, I'm happy I saved this story time for now and I hope you enjoy watching it. I didn't enjoy it happening and it's still happening. So I made some bullet points on my trusty laptop of all the creepy stuff that's happened over the last 3 years and now I'm going to tell you in story form and I hope you like it. So this house in which I'm currently in right now making this video, we have lived here for about 9 years and the person in which this story is about has lived across the street and one over from us for about the last 6 or 7 years. Now this person we noticed around 2 years ago, I think is stalking us. Like, I know that people are probably gonna say, oh yeah, but he can't be a stalker, like he can't help that he lives across the street from you. Are you stupid? Like, just bear with me. Listen to the story and I think, so let me give you a little bit of a preface. About 3 years ago, it was late at night and me and my mum decides, let's go get KFC. It was dark outside, KFC was still open, and we walk across the street where our car was parked near his house to get in the car and drive to KFC. And all of a sudden, I don't know what came over me, but I went, don't you get the feeling that someone's watching us? And we both just kind of froze, like, what? You know when someone's like looking at you and you think someone's looking at me and you turn around and someone's there, like, it was like that, but it was dark and there was sort of no one around, I guess. And then thinking back on this about a year ago, this event that happened kind of made us realise that was probably this guy watching us. I trust my instincts. If I have an instinct about something, which I had an instinct about that, I trust it. And I'm not saying that's like cold, hard, solid FBI evidence, because it's not. Shortly after this experience, my mother had one of her like first baby fetus encounters with the man. She was alone, she was in her car about to drive away. And all of a sudden, this little man comes like, you know, jogging up to the car and tapping on the window and she's like, oh, what's wrong? Like, oh. And so she rolls down the window and she doesn't drive with shoes on most of the time. I know like a lot of adults do this. I don't understand because I can't legally drive because I'm a child. So this man scurries over to the car, looks in the window and goes, oh, why don't you have any shoes on? And she goes, oh, it's just easier to drive that way. And then this man, this little creepy man, there's a creepy man whom she does not have a personal relationship with, goes, people would pay good money to see those feet. I feel like that's a good way to open up this story time. That's the kind of person that he is. And by the way, this man's married. I actually genuinely think he's 69. I asked my mum how old he is and she went 69. It's rather fitting. And over the duration of like a few months, these comments like sort of built up. He would make a few like really creepy, really weird, really personal, strange kind of questions and, you know, things. She just thought that he was a bit of a creep, honestly, and so did I. I just assumed he is a bit weird. Maybe he's lonely, maybe his wife isn't putting out enough. I don't know. However, over time, we realised that every time we left our house, he'd open his front door and be looking over like... And then as soon as we'd walk out to the car, he'd run out and be like, hello, hi. It's just so weird. Like, what? How did he know? It's literally like he was watching for us to open the door. It was almost every time we left our house, he would also leave his house. It was really odd. And it got to the point where we would have to change our daily routine. So say we went out at 7:30 every morning to like me to go to school, and you know, we'd have to change it to like 20 minutes earlier, 20 minutes later, just so we wouldn't run into him. And we'd do that for a little while and then he'd adapt to our new routine as well. It's really strange. Every time we'd leave the house in the morning, he'd also leave the house in the morning, like pace up and down the road and be like, hello, and go back inside his house. Like, why are you so obsessed? Why? And one day, everything all kind of just like, you know, got together in my brain, and I thought, this is when it clicked. This is when this man is a creepy stalker guy. When it clicked. We was on the way home from somewhere, we was in our car, we was driving about to drive back into our driveway, and all of a sudden I go, why is he hiding behind his car? And we looked over and you see him crouched down behind his car, clearly pretending to be occupied, but what is there on the floor behind his car? There's nothing there to be occupied by, and you could see him clearly hiding, like he was like this and like looking out like, oh, fiddle with the plastic, like the metal sheet that covers the car door, let's fiddle with this. You know, like, what are you doing? And I was like, that's a bit weird, like, that's proved our suspicions that he's desperate to, like, have some kind of physical contact with us. Like, you know, he's desperate, he needs this. And we're kind of like, wow, that's really strange. Maybe it's just a one-time thing. And you know what the scariest part of it all is? We don't know how long he'd been doing this creeping thing before we'd even, like, noticed it. It's just really, like, ugh, it makes me feel a bit like gross. He was crouched behind his little car, and as soon as we get out of our car, he pops up and goes, hello, like, and we both just looked at each other like, did you see that? You saw that, right? You saw that, right? What? That was like the start point, you know, when we realised something's up, this man's not right, he's obsessed, he might be a stalker. You never know. Oh, this is a good one. So a little while ago, maybe about like a year and a half ago, a black car. So he comes over to her one day and says, oh, you got a new car, it's really nice. Yeah, I like. You know what happens like a few days later? He buys a black car. He bought a black car because she bought a black car and he wants to match. You're not soulmates. And you know what he said? You know what he said? I have a black car like you now. What? And I might mention, just to like back up what I'm saying, my granddad got very sick around this time, around 3 years ago. So my mum would go out to his house, because he only lived a street away, like 5 times a day to make sure he was okay. You know, make sure he had dinner, make sure he had shopping, make sure he had food, you know, things like that. So she'd go out a lot in the day, and every time she went out, almost every time she left the house, he'd come out of his door and he'd go, hello, or like, hi, how are you? Like, try and make conversation. She's like, oh, I gotta go. And this isn't just an old man being friendly. He has a wife, like, he has a life as well. He's being a freak. Now this is when things start to get really weird. Around 2 years ago, we had some neighbours and they were like a bit, you know the type, you know, a bit troublesome, a bit loud, a bit, let's go away. And so my mother and this man sort of got into like cahoots with each other, you know, like talking about everything, what was going on with like things. Because he was pretty much the only one on our street who wanted to help sort out the problem of these like irritating neighbours, and she thought, oh my god, they're getting really annoying, I have to do something, let's just try and see if he can help me. Because he hadn't done anything bad, he'd been a freak, but he hadn't done anything bad. This was probably a mistake though. So one day he's like to her, oh, can I have your number so I can text you about like neighbourhood updates, general things, general old people things. Not to have a personal relationship with you, not to have a conversation with you, just so I can like text you updates about things, you know? You're like, yeah, it's okay. And she was obviously probably a little bit reluctant, a bit hesitant, but she was like, fine. And it's not like she'd give him a fake number, like, he lives across the road. If it was wrong, you know, he'd come over and knock on the door and be like, hi, and you'd rather, like, receive his, like, you know, weirdness over text and in person, because it's weird. And you know what, she thought, that's okay, he's just giving me updates. It's not like he's sending me pictures of his penis or whatever, so it's all good. But then he starts sliding into those DMs, if you know what I mean. Them texts start getting a little bit more frequent and just a little bit more like personal and a bit weird. Like this one time. One day she comes home from being out, she comes through the front door, she shuts the front door, and as soon as she shuts the front door, she hears a ding, like her phone, a text. So she looks at it and guess who it was? Like, come on children, have a guess. Yeah, are you guessing? Yeah, it was him, it was the man, like, ugh. It was him. his little name on the little just Nokia touchscreen phone screen. Oh, hello. And you know what he said? I liked the shirt you had on today. What? Sorry? 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 Excuse me? Come again? Come again? Like, what? You could say that a bit louder, please. And so she looks out, there's a little eye thing in the door, you know, where you can see out. No one's there. No one's to be seen. He's not standing in his, like, little pathway or something. So this is when it clicks. He's watching us from his window. That's how he knows when we open our front door to open his and come and say hello, because he is obsessed. Also, he's also watching her from the window because he knows what shirt she has on and he wasn't even outside. And if he was outside, he would have said hello. It's probably just because he couldn't catch her in time and wanted to hit her up and have a conversation. Like, what? So my mum and my next door neighbour are like quite good friends, you know, they talk about general stuff. And one night, it was around 8 o'clock, they both went out of the front door and like sort of was just like talking. When all of a sudden, his door opens. And it like opens slowly, like, and he's standing at the door like this, like. So we all just went quiet. Me and my mum and my neighbour, we just went quiet, like. What are you seeing? It's like, oh, you see, like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And before you know it, he's come out, walked down the road, like, pretending he's going for a walk at night time in the dark on his own. Yeah, sure. Walks halfway down the bottom of the road, walks back up, and comes to our gate. And you know what he said? Take a guess. Take a guess what he said. Hello. Bye. I actually genuinely think this old man's been smoking some, like, crack cocaine or snorting some black tar heroin. Can you snort that? I don't know. So from that point on, when my mum and a neighbour used to go out and have their nighttime conversations with each other, they'd be very paranoid that he was there watching. So they started to look up at his window, his top window, and you could see him looking out of the window. When we looked up, the curtain would move like that, and then when you look back down again, it would open back up. And also, he wears glasses, so you can see the reflection in his glasses in the window. Like, take your glasses off if you're trying to be slick or something. Like, why is there so many stalkers? Why do people feel the need to stalk people and watch people and make them uncomfortable and just stare at people like... Did that make you uncomfortable? Made me uncomfortable. So his texts to her were becoming more often and she was getting a bit weirded out, so she went and said to him, oh, my phone's broken, I'm sorry, you can't text me. And so he was like, oh, okay. But this man got her email and started persistently emailing her updates about the neighbourhood, about other things that are completely irrelevant. Oh, he wrote a book, by the way. Yeah, he sent her a copy of his book, of his life, not even a book about a story, an autobiography of his life, his very uneventful life. That was weird. So once the emails started happening and getting more personal and frequent, you know what she said? Do you know what she said? My Wi-Fi's broken. I don't think we need Wi-Fi. And apparently, our only means of the internet we have in this whole house was the data from my phone. The Wi-Fi wasn't broken, she just told him the Wi-Fi was broken, but she had to get into this big, deep spiral of lies to cover up the fact that she just doesn't want to talk to a stalker. I don't know if any of you have watched like these CI murder programs, but when you tell a stalker that you're not interested, that's when they get hostile. That's when they slit your throat open and eat your esophagus, put it in a pie and chew up your spleen. Where's your spleen? I don't know, but that's when they get cannibalistic, you know? Now this is when she started getting angry and confrontational. One day, she's out in the front garden, it's a hot sunny day, and she's just doing some like general things. The dog's with her, and my dog doesn't have his lead on, so she's holding him by his collar, bent down, holding him. And so she's bent over, it's a hot day, so she's wearing like a shirt similar to this, not very modest. And she's bent over, and she looks up and he's standing there with his phone like this over her, and then all of a sudden she hears this exact noise. She described it to me. That's a photo, right? And she was like, did you just take a photo of me? And he goes, oh no, I'm just turning my data roaming off. Anyone with a phone knows that turning your data roaming off doesn't make a camera sound. And I just think it's quite sus, considering she's bent over in a shirt like this, you know? My neighbour's there and he saw this and he goes, he definitely just took a photo of your tits. It's like more disgusting than anything else. It's some old like man's probably like having fun time with a photo of my mother's breasticles. One day she decided she'd had enough. A few weeks after this, she's back in the garden again. It's a hot summer's day in a t-shirt like this. She's bent over like de-weeding the little slabs in the ground, and all of a sudden she hears his door opening and he scuttles on over, like he looks like an actual rat. He like scuttles on over to our garden, and she just looks up like, I'm so done with this. And slightly before this particular event occurred, a few neighbours had told her that they'd noticed he'd been a creep, like he was creeping on her, he was watching her, and they'd noticed him doing it. But no one said anything. I don't know why, old women are pussies. Like, if you see someone stalking someone, I'm pretty sure you tell them. Just me? Okay, maybe I'm the only one with morals. So yeah, he scuttles over to her like, and she's sitting there on the floor. She looks up, and all of a sudden she hears the camera click. So she looks up at him, completely infuriated, and goes,
I know you just took a photo of me. Don't deny you just took a photo of me. People have been telling me what you're up to. You're a pervert. Stay away from me.
Like, she goes off on one. And you know what the funny thing is? He didn't even deny it. He just went, and then scuttled off back into his house and shut the door. He didn't even deny it. If someone accuses you of being a pervert, I'm pretty sure you deny that. No, I'm not a pervert. Yes, you are. No, I'm not a pervert. Like, what am I about? Like, he didn't deny it because he knows it's the truth. So yeah, his like weird antics calmed down for a little while. And recently it kind of flared up again. He's been doing the opening the door thing again. But you know, he's got better. I think if you have a stalker, confront them. I mean, there's a 50-50 chance. They could back off, or they could chop you up into a million pieces and send it to everyone you love. But what are you gonna do about it? And yeah, at one point I was scared for my life, but you know, life goes on, I guess. I hope you like that story time, and I really don't hope I have to make a second installment to that, because thank you for 600 subscribers. That's a lot of people. Yes. Make sure you follow my Instagram, my Twitter, my Snapchat. I'll leave it all in the description below. Wow, I'm getting so good at this. I'm like the best YouTuber ever. I'm being sarcastic. Subscribe. Okay, bye. I'm watching you.